Welcome to The Good Pod, where today we're talking about The Good Wife, Season 2, Episode 17, Ham Sandwich. I am one of your hosts, Jason Reed. With me, as always, I try to tell her every podcast, please, Miss Garza, refrain from talking, but as you can tell, she does not listen. It's Marissa Garza. Marissa, you good?
I'm good. That has been like a comment on my report card since the beginning of time.
Oh my gosh.
Marissa, you talk too much. Which, hey, that's why I'm a podcaster. That's why this works. But yes,
Marissa is a good student, but has to be reminded constantly to stop interrupting class.
Pretty much. That was pretty much it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Also, I love a ham sandwich. Do you love a ham sandwich?
I do not.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I can eat ham. I don't love ham, but if it's like, if I don't have any other choice, I'll eat ham. I've never had a ham sandwich because I don't like my things intermingling
together. Yeah,
literally
that would prevent you.
Literally, the only sandwich I eat is a peanut butter sandwich. That's literally the only sandwich I'll ever eat. That's the only thing that it's the only thing that bread mixes with that I eat is peanut butter. That's it.
Not butter. You wouldn't
butter.
put butter, like regular butter on bread. Put jam on bread.
I would never put jam on bread. I'm not a jam or a jelly guy.
Oh my gosh.
No. I've never eaten a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I've never eaten jelly in my life. It seems disgusting to me. It's like very gelatinous. So I'm like,
it is.
I'm good. No, thank you. As I don't eat crunchy peanut butter. I must eat creamy because I don't like texture. Texture really is a thing for me. I eat butter. Yes, I have eaten butter on toast. It's not like a go-to for me, but I have eaten it. So yeah, peanut butter is my go-to for anything bread related. Let's talk about hamburgers.
Choice.
Yeah.
Solid choice.
No, I would never eat a ham sandwich.
Hamburgers, but not
hamburgers, not ham sandwich. No, correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yes. So we are here. Another episode of The Good Wife, Season 2, as Season 2 is winding down. Very interesting episode with a lot of things tackled, a lot of big, huge revelations that we get to in this episode. So a lot to talk about. Before we get too deep into it, I want to remind you of some free and easy ways yes, I'm talking to you, can support this podcast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. If you are watching us on YouTube, you can hit the little thumbs up button somewhere down here. That'll help us get into other people's eyes. You can also subscribe to our channel, and it'll let you know whenever we have a new video coming out. Also, if you're watching or if you're listening on a Spotify or an Apple, you can rate us 5 stars. You can also leave a written review on Apple. We would love to see that. And if you do leave us a review, we will talk about it on the podcast. You can also just email us if you want to just chop it up about the show at thegoodpodfeedback@gmail.com. As always, thank you so much for rating, reviewing, and subscribing.
Yeah, we love to hear from you. So thank you so much. And it helps get more people involved. So I was trying to see if I could connect it to it is like a sandwich of appreciation. No.
Oh, yes. I mean, what's in the middle?
Like you listen, you rate, you listen, you subscribe, you rate and comment. It's like a sandwich.
Listen, the meat of our podcast. Meat of our podcast is your ratings and reviews. That's what you're here for. You're not eating just the burger buns by themselves. You got to have the meat. The meat is your reviews.
You did it.
Like we love the meat.
You did it.
Got to have the meat. We have the meats. Like Arby's over here. That's the only thing I know Arby's for. I've never seen anyone go into an Arby's. I've never seen anyone go in or out of an Arby's. I'm pretty sure that Arby's is like a money laundering situation. I'm pretty positive.
Arby's has fantastic curly fries.
Marissa, don't tell me you are an Arby's.
Okay,
patron. You go to
I
Arby's.
don't know if you remember the mall, Jason. The mall.
The mall.
Like,
I don't know if I've ever seen an Arby's in a mall.
Our mall had an Arby's, and when I worked at the mall, I sometimes didn't want to go to the main food court. I went to the Arby's, which was next to the bookstore. So,
where did you work in the mall, Marissa? I must know.
Carson Perry Scott. Blah.
What is that?
So boring. It's like a Macy's. It's like a department store.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a very Chicago. It doesn't exist anymore. But
I definitely would have paid you for a bookstore employee. You worked at
I would have loved it. I did work at a game shop.
Ooh, a game, like a board game shop or like a video game shop?
Like a board game, Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I applied to work at a comic book store once. I did not get it, and I was crushed. I was crushed. But yeah, I would have pegged you for a Books a Million, Walden Books, Barnes and
Walden
Nobles.
Books.
Yeah.
Oh, Borders. Also so good.
Walden Books, where I used to get my comic books from back in the day.
That's like, what was by the Arby's.
Yeah, behind the Arby's. Yeah, but I contend I've never seen anyone actually eat at Arby's or walk into or out of an Arby's. I've always just seen it. There's no cars in the parking lot in Arby's. Arby's is just open and there. I've never seen anyone actually use Arby's.
I have not Arby'd in a long time, but I do have fond memories of those curly fries. They were really good.
Yeah, they listen. Arby's wants you to believe that they are an actual fast food chain. They even hire Ving Rhames to do their commercials.
Yes, who I've been rewatching. ER is in ER. Anywho, should we talk about the case of the week, Jason?
I feel like that's
what
people are here to listen to us talk about. If they want to listen to us talk about our childhood workplaces, I guess we'll talk about the good wife.
All right.
So we have to.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this episode, like you said, has a lot going on. So I did my best to kind of chunk it in our usual like case, firm, campaign / family buckets, but we'll kind of just kind of see
a lot of crossover.
Where this is going. Yeah. At the beginning, it's a new day at Lockhart Gardner, right? Because Bond is out.
We're back to regular Lockhart Gardner. We're back to LG.
Yes.
Bond's
LG
out.
is here and trying to win over Lamond Bishop's business. And I loved this first scene because at the beginning, Alicia's like pitching him in a small conference room. And he's like, you want to know what I want? I want to be in the larger conference room.
Yeah. Like, why you got me in here in the annex? In the little room. I want the big room. I'm freaking Lamond Bishop, okay? Like, you do it or I'll have your family swim in the fishes or something. Give me a larger conference room. Because we do come in and we hear from Will and Diane like lecturing everyone like, hey, we got to make sure none of our people are scared that we are going through this big change. We got to keep all our clients, like promise them the moon. And basically like Alicia's like, hey, Lamond, like you want people from both Washington, from Washington and Chicago, which I guess to me means that some of Bond's people still stuck around because that's what Bond came into this with, the Washington contingent. And like you said, Bishop's, you want to keep me, like get me out of these little small confines and get me in the big conference room. Let me talk to the big people. Let me talk to the Lockhart and Gardner. That's all the name of this law firm. And that's what he gets. They get the big conference room. They got Will and Diane here to make the big sell.
And they are selling. They're like, whatever you need. Anything you need, Lamond. Anything at all. We do have to be a little bit cautious about your street level holdings, which is what they call it. But also, we will do anything for you.
Yeah, but it's interesting because last time Will and Diane were talking about Bishop, they were just like, should we be doing this? Like, is Bishop someone we should be taking on?
Talks.
Yeah, but now they're just like, yeah, we need it. Bring it on. We'll take all your illegal business. Give it to us. We gotta talk around it, but we'll do it. Don't get us wrong. We'll still launder your dirty money for you, but we gotta talk about it in certain ways.
This is so great. I love to hear this because my wife is divorcing me, and I don't want to get divorced. So, like, if you can do that, then I'll be your client. Cool. And Alicia and David Lee are assigned to this case. Basically, the charge here is that it's not like a real charge, but like the reason why they are divorcing is because Lamond cheated on his wife and they are getting a divorce. So but before divorce proceedings have this stage called mediation where they try to work it out before going into court. So it's moving towards mediation. And David's strategy here is like, look, the quickest way to smother a fire is to deprive it of air. And in a divorce proceeding, money is air. So she gets no money. She won't leave. You can go on and live your lives happily together. And bada bing, bada boom, we've won. I wish it was that simple, David. I really was.
It's really not in this case.
But that strategy does not work for very long because we get a mediation session. And this is someone I forgot. David Lee's strategy doesn't last very long because they head into mediation and we see, to me, a familiar face. It took a while to really place this face, but the person who is moderating the session is played by Bill Irwin, who is in Interstellar, or more fondly known as Mr. Noodle from Sesame Street and Elmo's World.
Yeah, big 63 episode Mr. Noodle, Sesame Street guys. Oh, okay, interesting.
He also was in a couple episodes of Law and Order, on The Dropout, which was a show that I covered on Post Recaps, and then also in This Is Us, which is also a show that we covered on Post Recaps, and a show that's very close to. We loved that show.
Yeah,
That
very
was
close to our hearts. This is weird how the overlap of certain things, because we've had a couple This Is Us alums on The Good Wife that we've seen. Speaking of that, I saw some interesting. I saw an interesting name pop up on the opening credits that I was like, I know that name. I saw that this episode was directed by Griffin Dunn, who it was Mickey on This Is Us, and also played a judge on one of our former Good Wife episodes. So I was like, that's really cool that we've had. I don't know why. I didn't know that he was a director, and the fact that he directed this episode, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know why it even struck me when I saw the name. I was like, oh my god, I recognize that name. I looked it up. Oh, Mickey, who we love Mickey on This Is Us. Back in the day.
Yeah, that's awesome. This Is Us, man. It's still it's in everything. Because it's us,
listen,
like This Is Us.
And this is not our only This Is Us alum in this episode, Marissa. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm on the edge of my seats.
So, we talked about it before, but you already forgot again.
Yep. My memory. I'm focusing, Jason. I'm focusing. So in this mediation session, basically his wife is saying, like, I put my life on the line for you, like all of the stuff. They bring in his wife's side brings in an anti-gang FBI agent called as a witness. David is really good at causing distractions, because then he's like, wasn't it the FBI that was involved in September 11th? And the guy's like, that was the CIA. Like, all this stuff.
Like, David is
all over the place.
But David is apparently very passionate about September 11th, because both David and this guy get up. They're about to brawl in the middle of this conference room. I was like, this is funny, because... And this whole meeting is interesting because we get mediation with Fred, like you mentioned. Fred, who is a very Mr. Rogers-esque type of guy. I'm here.
Very Sesame Street.
Yeah, very Sesame Street. I'm here to talk to everybody so that we can all hopefully reach a consensus and hopefully avoid trial. And I just want to make sure we get to a yes. He's a very nice guy. Not even realizing maybe that he's really right now talking to a drug dealer in Lamond Bishop. I don't even know if he realizes the danger he might be in. And because this guy from the FBI is, nah, bro, because Lamond's side, our side, is like contending, hey, we don't have any money to give you in a divorce settlement because there's no money here. Mr. Bishop's businesses, his legal ones, are cash strapped. Everything's going to bankruptcy. We got nothing. He's a failed businessman. How much money can you expect from a failed businessman? And now we have this FBI guy coming to be like, actually, businesses, like legal or otherwise, are worth $88 million. Okay.
Well, and then they bring Bishop's like money guy on. He's like, no, like that's not how it is.
Wasn't this the guy? It was the same guy that we saw a few episodes ago working at the convenience store that Kalinda was hassling. So I'm like, this guy wears a lot of hats in the organization, apparently.
Which, I mean, if you also watch Elsbeth, like, it happens. There's a fall guy. There's somebody that comes in and wears all of the different hats.
We should also talk about the era that's representing Bishop's wife, Katrina, who's Pablo Schreiber, who was I recognized almost immediately as Porn Stash from Orange is the New Black. If you ever watched that show, he was one of the prison guards on that show. And also who I recognize from Halo, which is a very different character than Porn Stash. He was the main Master Chief guy. He was a big buff guy.
He was.
Also, interesting enough, when I looked up Pablo Schreiber for this episode, the half-brother of Liev Schreiber, a.k.a. Ray Donovan himself, a.k.a. voice of Hard Knocks that I love to watch. So I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. And I think this is probably one of this probably came before Orange is the New Black. So I would imagine this is one of his, like one of his first roles. And I thought it was really cool, a really cool role for him. And it was funny because this guy, as we're presented to him, is like new on the scene, because we talk about who is this guy? Like, this guy is barely even out of law school. And Alicia's, it's going to be hard to find a lawyer to go against Lamond Bishop, so she had to go to desperate places. But he's very trying to prove himself throughout this whole episode, which was fun. But yeah, like this whole mediation session we had was very cool.
Yeah, like David's really trying to like flex his muscles here and be like, oh, you rent office space? How cute for you. That's so nice. And they leave the session with an offer. Like his wife's team makes an offer saying, give me $1 million. Oh no.
Well, no,
sorry.
that's what
David puts. David puts $1 million on the table, and they do not accept it and threatens access to the kids. So things are escalating. Then they put this cute little kid on the stand, Jason. It was such a cute kid. And he's like, can you tell me about your dad? My dad's a businessman. Oh, that's so cool. Did you ever see your dad on TV? Yeah, but he said that dad did something bad. And you can see like in this interaction, like Lamond actually cares. He's like, stop. And he also doesn't want to get in more trouble. So he's hey, kid, you don't have to talk anymore. It's okay. Well, I never do anything wrong.
I think we see a much softer side to Lamond here. I think it's less about him getting into any more trouble. I think he doesn't want this kid to feel bad about what he's saying about his father. So he doesn't want the people to like dive deeper into this kid and like how he feels about his dad's business. And Lamond doesn't want this kid to have a bad impression of him, or he doesn't want the kid to have any just distress about, because the kids are like, was I bad? And Lamond's like, no, you could never be bad, son. It was like, oh, it's so heartbreaking. It's so great, so fantastic just to see Lamond Bishop, who we've seen as this kind of calculated, very ruthless guy, and to see him melt when he's talking to his son was such a great character moment for Lamond Bishop, and played fantastically by Mike Coulter as usual.
As usual. Yeah. And it was just, and it also painted his wife in a bad light too. Like, who would put their kid on the stand to have to say this against their dad type of thing. So this time the wife's team puts a deal on the table and says $21 million and joint custody. So that's not happening. Kalinda's been doing some investigation. Apparently Lamond wasn't the only one cheating, or isn't the only one cheating in this situation, because she's having an affair and has a room reserved in Lake Forest, room 333, which will come in to play later. But Bishop doesn't know. And we see the scene between, or like the shot between her lawyer and her to imply that this is the relationship that's happening.
Yeah, I don't know if I picked that up. That's interesting.
Oh, he like rubs her arm,
Oh,
like,
what?
Arm rub says a lot.
I did not even pick that up. You are picking up so much that I'm not picking up, Marissa. You're on it when I'm not this week.
This is why we're a good team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's interesting, especially with how things play out later down the road.
So between all this back and forth, they can't make a deal. So now we're going to have to move to court. And this, like, Alicia and David are fine with this, because that means like, oh, well, then we don't really have to talk about your illegal businesses. We can frame it how we want. And Lamond is like, yeah, cool. But like, what about my son? Is he going to be back on the stand? Because I don't want that to happen. They never really answer the question, but I think it's implied that it will happen.
Yeah. And Lamond don't like that. Lamond don't want that to happen.
He does not. So we see them waiting in the hallway at court. And this is when Porn Stash Man comes in and says, you knew she was in recovery. She had relapsed. You got her to start using again. And she's dead.
He comes in, he's like, you killed her. You did it. You actually did it. I was like, whoa, what's happening? He's like, she was clean for 10 years. And then she ODs last night before a trial. It was like, oh my God. And I love that he like Mars, the guy who's Gregory Mars this is the character's name, which doesn't really even get brought up. No. But according to IMDb, his name is Gregory Mars. But he's like yelling at Lamond Bishop, and David has like a human moment. David's like, listen, I'm going to stop you right here. Like, you do not want to do this any further. You do not want to be in public yelling at Lamond Bishop that he is a murderer, because guess what? You're next if you keep up this line of questioning. And Lamond like walks up to him and is like, You got anything else to say, friend? Ooh, when he called you friend,
and it's like the low, low voice.
Hey, friend, you got anything else to say? No, like that, when he calls you friend, like it's over. Stop speaking. And yeah, it's very tense. Yeah, and Marissa, you are like the fact that he came in here so passionate about this woman being killed also speaks to the fact that they were probably having like a side thing. Yes, I understand. Get you, got you.
Yes, but and the fact that he knew like about the 10 years and like all that other stuff. I mean, I like not saying that isn't something you wouldn't discuss with your lawyer, but like the passion behind it was
for sure. I can see
a lot.
And yeah, I love that moment where like David of all people who doesn't care about anyone, doesn't care about anything except money. He's, I'm gonna need you to calm down. Like you are gonna die if you keep this up. So I'm gonna like let's go. Like calm down.
Yeah.
Simmer down.
Yeah.
So that was fascinating.
I think we're left to think here, Jason, that this was a problem that Lamond solved in the way that Lamond solves problems.
For sure, definitely. I thought at a certain moment that it was going to come out that the money guy, Dex, was the one that Katrina was treating with, and I thought Lamont was going to take care of them both. I thought Lamont was going to find out and kill them both, but the fact that it was what happened is even more interesting. I saw this coming. I was like, I feel like Lamont was going to kill her or something.
I remember that this is like a thing that comes like. This is like a defining moment in the Bishop storyline. Like this is something that like, you know, the firm was okay covering his street level holdings, but murder against his wife, like, you know, maybe it's going to complicate
murders.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, but I think it might just complicate the conversations that they have. Like they going forward.
I mean, we defended Colin Sweeney. If we defend Colin Sweeney, we can defend Lamond Bishop.
That's fair.
Yeah, this was such a like fascinating case of the week.
That was such a short. It was very fascinating, but done in very short scenes, and every scene was really jam packed with information because there's a whole other thing going on in this episode.
Yes,
that wasn't even in the court. Well, wasn't the case of the week, and that would be. It's finally time for Kalinda's grand jury.
Yep.
The episode opens and Blake is on the stand. We learn he has immunity. And he talks about how he has supported and still does support Bishop's legal businesses.
What do you think Blake did to gain immunity? Did he stand up on one leg for a long time and beat out the other survivor contestants to gain immunity? Did he go through a maze and solve a puzzle at the end to get immunity? Like in for those that aren't picking it up, we're talking about Survivor. immunity necklaces.
Him having this immunity is the same way I would feel if he had immunity on Survivor. I'd be like, oh my God, no.
We got to get him out.
Yes. How do we get him out? But yeah, he is willing to sell any information he has to keep himself alive. And in this grand jury, he's being questioned by Carrie, and Childs is like on the side, like saying, kind of directing Carrie or adding color to the conversation of what Carrie's questioning him on.
Yeah, and Carrie is speaking very deliberately about things, and Childs is just, what are you trying to do? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Childs, who, let's not forget, just came off of a defeat at the hands of Peter. So he's in his last days as state's attorney.
Yeah, and he's trying to keep everyone at the SA's office, like, cool, calm, and collected, even though they all know that, like, shit's about to hit the fan. They're all like, how can you like promise any stability for me when you are going out the door? And Carrie comes up to Childs and is like, hey, remember that time you told me I would get a promotion and like get a pay raise and all that stuff? Like, when is that happening? And Childs has to like sort of BS his way through that conversation a little bit.
Marissa, I can't let you pass this scene without pointing out my girl, Geneva Pine. She's here for a grand total of 2 minutes of the episode, but she makes it worth it because as Childs is like promising everyone they're going to keep their jobs and they're going to keep their salaries, Geneva's like, yeah, for the promised few. And Childs like, you got something to say, Geneva? You got something to share with the class? And as Geneva's like, as you said, she's like, listen, we all know that when a new SA comes in, they're going to clean house. Childs is like, no, in this economy? No way. And Childs also calls her out like, and Geneva, don't think I don't know what you're using your sick days for is to go out and interview at other jobs. I see you, sweetie. I clocked your T. And Geneva could just stand there and be like, oh, he's right. So I can't let you pass up any Geneva Pine moments, Marissa. I can't do
That's
it.
Fair.
I won't let you, okay?
That, as you should.
I'm a Geneva Pine fanboy from way back. I'm a Renee Lee's Goldberry stan from way back. I'm an Evangeline Williamson fanboy from way back in the One Life to Live days.
That makes sense.
I will revel in every Geneva Pine moment.
But did you notice that Pedro wasn't there?
Yeah, that's a good point. Pedro is nowhere to be seen. What happened to Pedro?
Did Pedro get out before he's like, oh, I'm done?
Yeah, so he saw it right on the wall. I'm out of here.
Yeah. So during like the conversations that are going on with Lamond Bishop, Kalinda kind of just like throws a subpoena towards Alicia and is like, hey, this is happening. And also, do you want to be my lawyer? You're my lawyer now.
Yeah, Kalinda's shooting the breeze with Alicia. They're having some drinks, and Kalinda, like you said, just tosses her the jury summons. Hey, by the way, take a look at this. Flabbergasted. My God, you're gonna need a lawyer. And Kalinda's like, yeah, dummy, I just got one. I'm talking to one. You're my lawyer.
Yeah, she's like, why are you not freaked out by this? Like, why are you so calm? But Alicia does agree to be.
She's basically because I'm Kalinda, and I don't get freaked out.
Yeah, like duh. Alicia does agree to be Kalinda's lawyer and is giving her like this, you're going to plead the fifth. You do not make their job any easier. And this is where the title of the episode comes from. In Chicago, they indict a ham sandwich, basically meaning like you do anything, you're going to get indicted. They will leave it up to the courts to decide. And this is when Kalinda tells Alicia everything that happened with Dr. Booth. Like Alicia has been in the dark about this whole thing, and Kalinda's like, so remember Dr. Booth? Well, he got beat up and Blake framed me and all of this stuff. And Alicia's like, okay, you have to trust me. And Kalinda's like, I do trust you. She's like, no, more than usual.
Kalinda, listen, in terms of people I trust, you're at the top of the list because I don't trust many people to do many things. And the little bit of trust I have ever shown you is the biggest amount of trust that anyone gets. So I'm with you. I think Alicia knows that it's going to be tough for Kalinda to do this plead the fifth thing because she knows that Kalinda's going to want to fight as much as Kalinda loves to fight. So she's like, I know you want to fight. I know you don't want to do the plead the fifth thing, but I'm going to need you to do it. Trust me, it's in your best interest. Kalinda's bet. I got you. Plead the fifth. No problem. Well, we'll see about that.
So Kalinda's on the stand. Carrie's questioning. Childs is sitting down. Alicia's by Kalinda's side. Carrie tells Alicia, you cannot talk, like, according to Illinois law, apparently, you cannot talk in grand jury situations. And this line of questioning comes, and she's pleading the fifth. But then a question of, were you ordered by Will or Diane to attack Dr. Booth? Comes in, and this is like, ding, 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 for Kalinda's like, I am not the target. It is Will or Diane.
Everybody's eyebrows raised at that question. Okay, so what's this about? Yeah, like you said, Kalinda's like, writing, I am not the target. Something else is going on here. Okay, cool. So at that point, we know something's going on. Something's up. So they go back to the firm, tell Will and Diane, and, you know, they make the point of like, Childs doesn't need to worry about politics anymore. He can basically like go after whoever he needs to go after. So Will's like, okay, I guess I should go talk to Blake. And of course, Blake is at the gym because bros be bros. And he's all like, yeah, I've got immunity. I have to, I have to talk about things. Like, I have to talk about the fact that I covered up your theft. And Will's like, wait a minute. Like, I thought we agreed that I paid my debt. Like, you're not supposed to talk about this anymore. And Blake's like, well, I've been subpoenaed and I have immunity. So fair game. I want to know more about this. I want to know what Will stole. Like, what's the dealio here? Like, we are being very like hinted at that Will's past was definitely not so rosy in Baltimore. Interestingly enough, well, and I go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about like when Will told Alicia, like, do you know anybody who does anything good, like for pure good intentions? It's like, if you think I'm perfect, I'm not that perfect.
I'm definitely not. And I also thought it was interesting how it's like the way that Blake is going to try and spin this, where Will goes, I did not order you to hurt that doctor. I didn't order Kalinda to hurt the doctors. I don't know what you think you're talking about. You told me to kneecap him, right? That's what you told me. Like you said, kneecap the doctor. That's what I did. The man doesn't have any more kneecaps. I took care of that. He's going to try and spin. Oh yeah, if he gets caught doing this, he's like, yeah, Duffy told me to do it. Did I do it? Yeah, but I did it on the orders and direction of Will Gardner. Will's like, oh come on. I was like, come on, man. I didn't mean to actually kneecap him. Like, well, that's what you said.
Yeah, he kind of took that literal thinking a little. Like he's going to exploit that to the max. So at this point, Carrie and Childs are prepared to offer Kalinda a deal. And basically it is, you can go through you can serve 2 years, basically. You can serve 2 years, or you can testify against Lockhart Gardner and get full immunity. And
would she be testifying about?
That Will gives these orders, I think.
Okay.
That this is how, which is nowhere near the reason why. Like Carrie was telling Kalinda this grand jury investigation was being put together because people thought they were leaking to you. And so now I think because of the whole like campaign situation, Childs has kind of dropped that and turning the light on the firm as a whole. And then if they can discredit the firm, they can kind of look at all those old cases and see.
I guess, but if I was Kalinda, I'd be like, testify against Lockhart. Lockhart Gardner's never actually told her to do anything illegal.
No, she just does that on her own.
Yeah, I don't know what she should be testifying against Lockhart Gardner about. She'd be like, they tell me to look into people, and I look into people. That's what I do. So I don't know.
Yeah, but and Alicia's like, oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Alicia was like, listen, I know you lost. Like, you don't have to do this. And Childs is like, I have been meticulous about not making this about the campaign. You have not. Not
at all. Not at all. You've been trying to get at Alicia for a long time now because of the fact that she is Peter's wife. So don't even give me that. I've been keeping things separate. You literally sicked Carrie on Alicia all the time because you hate her. So
yeah,
I'll try that.
Yeah. Kalinda's back on the stand and Carrie is like telling her and everyone that Blake testified that Kalinda did it. Kalinda's sticking with the Fifth Amendment response until she gets to a question of, have you tried to contact Mr. Calamar since he testified? And she stops and says, ask that again. And Alicia's like, whoa.
Girl, what did I tell you? I told you, keep your mouth shut. No, you're not.
And she's like, yeah, I followed him to a hotel where he was meeting someone in Lake Forest in room 333, and it was an African-American woman.
The last name may or may not have been a piece on a chessboard. If you want to keep connecting dots, it may or may not have been a bishop. Was it a bishop, a knight, a pawn, maybe a bishop? I'm not sure.
And Alicia's like, did you just do what I think you did? And Kalinda's like, it was dark. It could have been Blake. I don't know. She's doing the exact same thing sort of that Blake was trying to do to Will. Like, what? It's here.
Listen, I told my truth. Yeah. I would have been, I told my truth. Did I tell the truth? No, I told my truth. Okay.
Yeah. At this point, Carrie calls Alicia and this is Carrie Agos. Like very
This is Carrie Benjamin Agos.
Carrie Agos.
So formal.
She's like, oh hey. Basically because of this whole thing, like Kalinda doesn't have to return to the stand.
Not only that, but like Carrie tells her, like, yeah, we had Blake in here and we told him what Kalinda said, and this guy, he asked to go to the bathroom and just never came back. Oh my God, that is so hilarious. Yeah, he dipped. He just ghosted us. Say he had to go do something, and he said he was going out for a carton of cigarettes, and never came back. Like, he just disappeared. I thought that was so funny. Like,
that was
that's what she said? So that's in public record now that I was stripping the boss's wife? Oh, I gotta go. I gotta go.
Well, yeah. Well, and then that also like makes like what happens later, like it I question it. I mean, like the timing of it. But anywho, when he's on the phone with Alicia too, like there is this pause of like, okay, but Carrie, like, how are you doing? And he's like, I'm hanging in there. It might be tough sledding here for a while. And Alicia says, good luck.
I was like, look at this. Some thawing of a relationship here a little bit. I love that because Carrie has held a grudge against Alicia for a good long time now, since he left Lockhart Gardner. And I feel like Alicia's just been like, Carrie, we were buds for a minute. Like, why are you holding this grudge? For Alicia to be the one to extend the olive branch in this way, just to be like, how are you, man? I miss you, bud. We were friends, and now you just want to be like my adversary. But for real though, how are you? Are you okay? And for him to not just hang up the phone, for him to be like, yeah, I don't know. It's like it's stuff. Like we're starting to get back. We're starting to get back to a place where Carrie hopefully does not hate Alicia, and that's great to see.
And I think that comes from like Alicia's experience of like, no place is perfect. Nothing's going to work out the way that you think it is. And Carrie being so idealistic, like just coming out of law school and being like, I'm here to save the world. I'm going to be on the right team the whole time. And he's at the, state's attorney's office, and they're not doing things for the right reasons all of the time. And so he can't really escape it. So he may realize he's been a little too hard on Alicia.
I hope so. I always thought that Carrie's holier than thou attitude was, I don't know if he thought was like all that honest with himself. I think that he molded himself to think that the state attorney's office is all for good, even though he should know it's not, because he's trying to make himself feel better about being fired from Lockhart Gardner. So I didn't want to join you guys anyway, because you guys do bad stuff, and I'm here at the state attorney's office just to do good stuff. And he gets there and is like, not
this is a guy who was in the Peace Corps, a guy who worked for the Innocence Project. It's not like he's someone who's like, cops are great. I love the cops.
Right. Exactly. Like, yes. He's kind of doing this as a defense mechanism to make himself feel a little bit better. If I'm for the side of good. No one is the side of good. As Will said, no one does anything for the right intentions. Everyone's kind of bad. So I think Carrie has realized that. Also, with the turmoil going on with the soon to be flip over to a new state's attorney, he's probably feeling a certain way. He's feeling a type of way. He hasn't gotten his raise yet. He's feeling a type of way.
Especially if the state's attorney that comes in is the husband of his sworn enemy. You know what I mean?
Yikes. Like,
it's not looking great. Alicia and Kalinda go out to celebrate. They go to the bar. It's been a while since we've seen a bar scene between the two of them. There was a conversation earlier in the episode about how Alicia's trying to drink less because of Grace's comments.
Grace has shamed her.
Yes. Yeah. And Kalinda's like, I'm just shoring up friends for the end days. And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, where's that? That's a little ominous. I mean, it makes sense in 2025. Like, that is something that I would say right now. Like, I would say, I'm just shoring up friends for the end days. I'm getting together my little cohort of people that we can make it through the apocalypse. However, this was not then.
Yeah. It tells you that Kalinda thinks there's going to be some type of shoe to drop. We still don't have an answer to who was mysteriously calling her a couple episodes ago. So I feel like Kalinda knows that something is going to come up pretty soon that she's going to need her friends for. I do think it's interesting that Alicia clocked the fact, was Carrie like in on this with you with the whole like accusing Blake thing? And Kalinda's just like, let's just say Carrie's a good guy. So that means
her response was like, ooh, Carrie and Kalinda.
Yeah.
And they have this conversation about like, because Alicia's dealing with the fact that she may be a much more public figure and have to, go back into the politician's wife life. And she's like, I used to have so many friends, like life changes so fast. And Kalinda says, like, life changes, but we can change it back. Like, we can do what we want. Enter this conversation that happens between her and Blake, because Blake texts her and says, hey, I want to meet up. And Alicia's like, you're not seriously going, right? And Kalinda's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go. So, okay, my question with this whole thing is, if Blake like left a grand jury situation, would he not like leave Illinois?
I think he's on the way out. This is his last stop before he has to hightail it back to, I don't know if he's going back to Baltimore or what. I'm pretty sure he has his car packed. This is the last thing I got to do. I got to go meet up with Kalinda. Remind her that I'm still that guy. I'm still that one. You effed with me, but I left you a little present before I left. I'm sure he's got all his crap piled up in his car, ready to go. I got to do one more thing. I got to find Kalinda, and then I'm out of town.
Yeah. Yeah. And they always have to talk in parking garages. apparently.
Yeah,
that's the only place to meet.
Yeah, their love language is parking garages.
Well, and I mean, like, you have to pay for a spot. Like, this is not like a great system. Anywho, Kalinda's prepared. She has the bat. And
what in the parking garage thing, they don't charge you if you like go in there for 5 minutes in some of these parking garages. What if you're just like in a real hurry? He's like, all right, Kalinda, I got 3 minutes before I gotta pay for a spot. Like I gotta put this thread out there fast before I go. I got 2 minutes. So this he's like running through it. I gotta go. I gotta leave. I cannot pay for a spot here.
That could be. I could see Blake doing that.
Yeah.
But he tells Kalinda, like, hey, like, I figured this whole Leela thing out. Like, it wasn't like you didn't steal anyone's, like, you were just bored with your old life and you wanted to change your identity. And you know what? I was so generous. Like, I talked to the ASA about this. Like, I let the ASA know about all of the situation. And then I got thinking, like, who would help you change your name? Who would do this? And I started thinking about like all the times you overreacted at things, because that's like your tell, Kalinda, you overreact. And so he goes back through all of these things, and it's always having to do with Alicia. And so he puts together that the person who helped change Kalinda's name, or Leela's name, to Kalinda was none other than Peter. But would Peter do this for free? Oh, no. Peter would expect something in return. And in this case, Kalinda slept with Peter.
Quite a jump.
We sort of knew this, but this is confirmed.
When you say we knew this, what exactly?
I think it was alluded to at the beginning of the series. Like, you worked for the state's attorney office. Oh, like, how close were you to Peter? Like Alicia was suspicious of Kalinda at the very beginning.
Yeah, I still think that 2011 Jason was shocked and flabbergasted at this.
Oh, for sure.
This was definitely like oh my God, she effed Peter and she is like Alicia's friend. That is crazy. But Blake does make some real jumps in logic where he's like, yeah, that means like he helped you with change your name. That means you must have slept with him. I was like, okay. She probably did, because they wouldn't be bringing this up if she didn't. But he jumps to some conclusions here. And that still doesn't really answer a lot of questions for me. Like, okay, but why did she change her name from Leela to Kalinda? I think there's still a lot to be found out about this thing, because the way Blake tells you, like, you were just bored with your old life and you just changed your name. I was like, that's a weird thing to do if you're just bored with your life, is just to change your name and to get Peter to help you change your name. I feel like you could have filed some official documents to change your name if you wanted to. I don't know why you had to have Peter help you. So many questions this brings up about this whole thing. And to find out, like, in this moment, like, damn, Kalinda effed Peter and she's like up in Alicia's face, like he's her buddy. It's like, yikes. And you can tell on Kalinda's face. It's like,
yeah.
Yeesh.
Well, and especially now, because they are like super, like, Alicia just helped Kalinda with the situation. They are super close friends. They just went out to the bar. It's not like they just met each other, you know, like we have this history to look back on now. Yeah. I do remember being shocked when it first happened, but like when on the rewatch I was like, oh, they told us, which is what any good movie or any good show will do, is they will tell you something at the beginning, but you won't figure out that you know it until later. Totally.
And I loved when Blake lays all this out and Kalinda in the smallest voice ever is, no, you're wrong. That means he's definitely right. He's definitely right.
She's crying too.
Yeah, because Kalinda does not speak lowly, does not speak quietly like that. And it's like, you can, that's like a tell for her. It's like this, like that's not true. Like, no, it's not true. Like, yeah, it's definitely true. You definitely did it. And when Blake says he told the ADA, is he talking about Carrie? That he told Carrie?
I mean, or Geneva.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes out, because Blake does say before he leaves, don't worry, the ASA will get it, all straightened out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was like the real meat of this entire episode, was everything that was going on with Kalinda. We did have some movement on the family and campaign front. We do find out that, Diane calls Eli and is like, don't leave. I know we're going through some big changes. He's like, yeah. Like, don't even worry about this.
Eli's like, Diane, we've had this conversation before. Is Alicia still with you? Yes, then I'll be here. Alicia's the only thing that ties me to you. So I don't know why you're even calling me. Diane, get the hint. I am not in it for Bond. I never met Bond. I don't know who Bond is. I am here for Alicia. So leave me alone. I don't care about your little squabbles at your firm. Is Alicia still there? Yes, then I'm still there. Okay, that's all you need to know.
It's like, stop wasting my time with this. This is fine.
For real.
And the campaign has gotten to a point now with Childs dropping out that the DNC wants to throw some support behind this race. And when that happens in a campaign, it's never for free. Like there's some things that the DNC is going to want. Eli, of course, is like being the most Eli in the situation. The man, like Frank from the DNC, walks into Eli's office and Eli starts to de-pants himself, basically, so that Frank can, quote unquote, kiss my ass.
Like, wow. I was like, this is fire. This is so funny. And Alan Cumming delivers it only the way that Alan Cumming can. What are you doing, Eli? It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Keep talking. And as he like taking his belt off, Eli, like, I'm putting my pants on you and kiss my ass. Oh yeah, get him, Eli, get him.
Meanwhile, Grace is, learning that Jesus was black. Like this was
lovely.
A revelation for her.
You know how I love the Grace storylines. You know how I love Grace and Zach stories. Oh boy, love it.
I told you this was like one of my least favorite storylines, this whole thing. But anyway, Childs at this point is now supporting Wendy. Surprise, surprise. And because of this whole thing, the Grace part will fit into the story. I promise. But because Childs has supported Wendy, Childs is out of the race, the DNC is like, look, I know you've been talking and friending like black people, but you're going to have to drop this because the only way that you can win, the data supports this, is that you need to get blue collar whites. And what do blue collar whites like? They like other white people. They want to go back to quote unquote old Chicago.
Oh man. Hits real tough in 2025. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, just Google some stuff. But yeah, so Eli's kind of like against this at the beginning. Like he's like, I don't know, but I really want to win. So let's see what we can do.
Make Chicago great again. Basically, it's basically the the tenor of that.
Unfortunately, yeah. And Pastor Isaiah is waiting to meet with Peter, as, he's been doing for apparently some time that we haven't seen, but he's back.
I was like, Pastor Isaiah's back. I haven't seen you in so long. And we don't really pick up on how is Pastor Isaiah after the coup.
Getting kicked out of church.
That his father brought up against him, because we really didn't get a lot of answers after that. We don't really get any answers here. He's still here counseling Peter for now.
And Grace is like, ooh, a pastor? Hey, like, do you think that Jesus was black?
No, like, not even just a pastor, like, ooh, a pastor. Like, ooh, a black pastor. Perfect.
Just like all of this stuff. Asking him all this questions. Do you believe in global warming? What about politics? All this stuff. Do you think Jesus was black? And then, like, Eli walks in and then she asks the question to Eli, too. And Eli's like, I'm not even sure. Like, I'm not even going to touch that.
It's like, he's got to be something. And I love also when Grace is talking to Isaiah, she's, are you a Democrat? And she's like, you're black. So it would make sense that you're a Democrat. Okay. That's such a child simplistic way of looking at it. Because, listen, there are black Republicans. She looks at it in such an idealistic child way. You're black, of course you're Democrat. It's not really that simple, unfortunately. So it's just so funny looking at it from the lens of a girl like Grace, who's position,
like opening her eyes to what the world actually is, and she thinks like it's like she just discovered black people also, like she's just like, oh my gosh, black people, I love black people.
Yeah, for sure. That reminds me, if you're watching Love Is Blind, she's reminds me of Sarah from Love Is Blind. Hey, black people are important now. Like I get it.
Yeah. Like, are you also woke? I am woke. Are you also woke?
I have just been awoken. I have just now been woken up from my slumber.
Yeah, very, very much the vibes. Eli is there and he's like, hey, Grace, I gotta talk to, Pastor Isaiah here. Can you like take this Jesus black conversation somewhere else? And before she leaves, she tells Pastor Isaiah, like, I like talking to you. And he's like, I like talking to you too. But Eli is there to basically say, like, Pastor Isaiah, Peter's really busy. The campaign's really heating up. So starting today and basically until the end of the campaign, we're just going to have to like postpone your visits with him, and also like the prayer breakfast. Like, don't come to that. Like, don't be involved in that at all.
No, I think
but
Peter,
after the election, it'll be like super clear, and you can get back together.
Well, I think it's Pastor Isaiah's prayer breakfast, and Eli is telling Isaiah, like, yeah, Peter was supposed to show up to that. He's not coming to that anymore.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I almost thought it was like, Eli was almost like, your little religious things, like, that's not going to be happening for a while. Your little fun little talks, that's not going to be happening anymore. Almost really diminishing it. And Isaiah, I think, is, speaking of being awoken, he's now waking up to the fact that, oh, I was kind of being used by Peter. Like, he was using me to get a certain community's vote. So cool. Like, he knows this is the brush off now. Damn, I thought Peter was different. I don't know what Chris Noth was off doing, because he doesn't appear in this episode really at all.
It was fine.
I know you enjoyed it, but I would have appreciated a conversation between Peter and Isaiah to get more, because I was buying into Peter's religion act for a second.
Well, do you think, like, my question is, does Peter even know? I don't even know if Peter knows.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if Peter actually signed off on this, or if in an upcoming episode will he be like, I thought I was supposed to be meeting with Pastor Isaiah today. You're like, oh no, he had to cancel. Is this going to be something like that? And will that come back to haunt us? Is this the last time we're going to see Pastor Isaiah? I don't remember. I don't know. So I'm curious to see where that's going to go. But yeah, you can see in Isaiah's face, oh, damn, I was just a piece to be used in this campaign. And now they don't need me anymore, so I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. And while this conversation is going on, Grace is like looking up Peter's website. Don't know why. Like, I don't know what compelled her, how she went from Jesus is black to I must look at my dad's website. But she does. And she notices that all of the black people are gone.
I mean, because
all of the white people are there.
And she eavesdrops on Eli and Isaiah's conversations. Yeah. I think that's also cluing her in of, oh, like, this is weird. And also, I feel like Grace is just that nosy kid to be looking at her father's website stuff. So yeah. And yeah, we see that this website has been totally scrubbed of all diversity whatsoever. It's literally been whitewashed.
Like today.
Like, yes.
Literally like MSNBC. Literally like anything that's going on anywhere. So she takes this information, and before Eli leaves, runs out to the elevator and says, hey Eli, do you know about Zach's girlfriend Nisa? You know, the black one from
oh my god,
Somalia. Like, she's black. She's really black. Like, she's black.
Just the most unsubtle move you could ever see. I love how she literally like goes and stops the elevator, and Peter and Eli is trying to restart. She's nope, still stopping the elevator. So it's still gonna be here. A black girl that Zach's seen, the black boyfriend I'm seeing that's not actually my boyfriend. He's just a YouTuber I watch. Those black people. You know how the Florricks love black people.
That was so. She's like, yep, the Florrick kids just love black people.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, smart move. Like, I totally, like, way to go, Grace, on this. But it was so funny. And she does tell Eli at this point, like, Zach is bringing Nisa to the speech that Peter is giving at Zach's school. So have fun dealing with that. Mm-hmm. And Eli visits Alicia and says, like, you know, the kids, this is bringing the kids into the campaign. You said you didn't want the kids to be in the campaign. Like, this is, like, we should totally get this to stop. Like, I'm just trying to honor your wishes, Alicia. Like, I don't understand, like, why this isn't even a conversation.
How transparent of Eli. Hey, I'm just doing what you want, Alicia, and I would hate to go against what you want. You don't want the kids involved. You probably don't want Peter at the school, right? So we're just gonna cancel that. And Alicia, I don't really care. He can speak at Zach's school if he wants. He's like, why? Like, what is Eli's just so frustrated? Like, why is it that now we are switching roles here?
Yeah. But this sticks in Alicia's mind, obviously, as anything does with her. And she goes home, and Nisa's over at the house. And when she gets there, she wants to talk to Zach and tells Zach, like, hey, look, I'm going to tell Dad not to point you out at the speech. Like, I'm going to keep you incognito. It's important to me. All of this other stuff. And Grace comes out of her room, and she's like, it's because I told Eli about Nisa and how Nisa is black.
And she doesn't come in and say it. She's like, hey, it's because Nisa's black, right? It's because Zach has a black girlfriend. And of course, Nisa's like in earshot. Nisa hears all this. Nisa, what the hell? What, they talking about me? They talk about little old me, Nisa. Who do you recognize Nisa now, Marissa?
From This Is Us.
Yes. Young Beth from This Is Us.
Young Beth.
And these white people talk about me. Like these they talk about black. Did I hear the word black and Nisa in the same sentence y'all talking about? What are you talking about? Oh, that's so funny.
Like, I think like maybe she had like convinced herself that they're like safe white people, and then it's like, wait a minute, did you just say what this is? And Alicia comes out of there going, "Hey Nisa, would you like to stay for dinner?" Like
Nisa's. Did I just walk into a Get Out situation before Get Out even was a thing? Am I in Get Out? I think I might be in Get Out.
And Alicia calls Eli and is like, "Hey, stop by the office." And basically, Alicia calls him out on it.
She says it in her Alicia mom voice. Eli, when he got that voicemail, probably knew he was in trouble. Alicia's like, "Eli, I'll need you to come to my office tomorrow and talk to me in my office." Oh crap, I'm in trouble.
It's like he got called to the principal's office.
Yes.
And yeah, Eli not happy about it. So we never really see how this resolves, but we do see that like this is a conversation that's happening. What we learned from this is Grace has discovered Black people. Yeah. She is going to fight for Black people in the way that she knows how, which is like telling adults about things, and that the campaign has whitewashed their entire campaign basically to go after the quote unquote old Chicago blue collar white vote. So
yes, and in that meeting, that second meeting with Alicia and Eli, I loved how Alicia was like, "I'm not gonna have this bullshit. Like, I'm not like it's." Eli tries to tell her it's not about I don't want to do this. Like, it's not coming from me. Like, I am not against Black people. It's about the campaign. Like, we're supposed to do this for the campaign. Alicia, that's nonsense. It's not about the voters. It's about the bias that she says Eli. It's about Eli's bias. Eli's like, it's not. I love Black people. I'm not racist. I am in love with a Mexican lady. Like, I want to have like relations with a Mexican. So I'm not racist. Come on. And that's the moment where like Alicia's like, nope. Zach's gonna go with Nisa to the thing, and you're gonna deal with it. And that's where Eli is so exasperated. You don't want the kids involved. Now you want the kids involved. Like, why are we now opposite things? And Alicia's like, well, you have to deal with it. Eli just gets up and huff and like just leaves. I was like, yes, Alicia, get him, Alicia. Yeah, I love Alicia's our hero in this, sticking up for the righteousness.
And I mean, it shows kind of like where Grace and Zach get their like do things for people, you know, genes. But I will be interested to see what Peter thinks of this if he finds out, if we get to see what his reaction is to all of this, because basically Eli just kneecapped like Pastor Isaiah from his life, like basically just said, "You're out." And, you know, it came from Eli, it didn't come from Peter. So
yeah, 100%.
We shall see.
Can't wait to see the ramifications of this whole thing. Yeah, that's our episode for the week. Marissa, do you want to tell the good people in the Good Pod land where they can find you and all of your stuff and things?
Well, besides here talking with you about The Good Wife and Elsbeth and random tangents that we go on, I can be found at itsmemarissag.com. I link to all of the other, you know, projects that I'm working on. You can join my mailing list, learn about whatever I end up talking about. Sometimes it's about how to start a podcast. Other times it's stuff on my mind. I am like rewatching ER, and I have some thoughts to say about it. So be prepared for something coming on that front. I have no idea in what form yet, but yeah, man, that was shot in 1994. And like when you go back and you look at it, you cannot tell that it was made in 1994 because of they were using Steadicams, and that's like the norm now. Yeah. And so like it's just so interesting. Anyway, watching ER, I've been watching The Pit. I will probably have some Noah Wiley thoughts to share. So if you'd like to get on that, it's memarissag.com.
Nice. You can find me over on Blue Sky, JR33D. As far as podcasting goes, there is a lot going on in my podcast life right now, as well as being here talking Good Wife and talking Elsbeth over on the other side of our podcast. You can find me talking on the Love at First Sight feed at Rob Has Podcast. I would talk about the show's Love is Blind, which is wrapping up its 8th season. With me, Asia Welch, Mary Krakowski, we are going to be talking about the finale and the reunion all in one podcast. And that will be the last podcast for Love is Blind for this season. So that's coming up this week. You can also find me on that same Love at First Sight feed talking about the show Married at First Sight on my podcast, The Perfect Match with Asia Welch. We're talking about the 18th season of that show. It is messy. It is drama filled. There's a lot going on that show. So if you have any thoughts about the love shows and all that, you can come over there and hear me talking about it. It's a lot of fun. Really good time. You can also find me talking about the show Daredevil Born Again over on the We Know Scripted TV feed. I do that with Sasha Joseph, so if that's something you're into, go there. I also guested on Crime Scene. That's Crime SEN over on that podcast with Mari Forth and Sarah Carradine. We talked about the documentary Burden of Guilt, which was about this really heinous guy that did some really heinous stuff. And also about a woman who, as a child, was accused of causing the death of her toddler brother. And the way that all unfolds and how things were determined and how things happened is a crazy case. So go over to Crime Scene and listen to my podcast about that. And I think that's it. I probably forgot something else, but that's fine. So yeah, that's where you can find me. That's where you can find Marissa. So until next week, stay good.